Hi everyone, I'm Taluka from Markers and Minions, and this is my Facebook group, Benchmark Advanced Planning, Organization, and Tips. So I am based in California. I live in Los Angeles. I just completed my 5th year teaching. I started out teaching for Los Angeles Unified, and then I switched over to a smaller district in LA, within LA. 3 years ago, I was on the adoption committee and we chose Benchmark. And I loved the program and I got to study it inside and out. I got to pilot a unit. And that is sort of how I got started with Benchmark. The following year, when we adopted, I was like the most excited one at my school. And there was obviously a lot of resistance and a lot of confusion around the program. I did a 2-3 combo my first year with Benchmark. I remember I had a newborn, it was a 2-3 combo, and it was a new program, and I was like, let's do it. So I gave it my best shot, and then the following year, this past year, I taught a straight 3rd grade class, and so I got to really, really refine my Benchmark teaching. And then also this past year, I started the group and really became obsessed and fully immersed in the program and literacy in general. So that's who I am. And I see a bunch of people are tuning on. So as you're logging in, let us know your grade level and one fun thing you're going to do this summer, or that you've already done this summer. Let's see. So today I'm going to just do a quick getting started with Benchmark launch video, basically. I've got my week-old daughter in the other room, so I can't stay on here for too long. But I'm going to touch on a few things just to kind of get our feet wet and introduce the next few videos that are going to be talked about. First of all, before we start, more people are logging on, great. I have a lot of new members that I'm approving constantly, so because it's summertime and we're all learning about our new adoptions. So just to let you know, we've got a collaborative drive where we share resources, and that can be found in the, I'm copy pasting the link right now, can be found in our Google Doc. So this Google Doc that I'm about to post in the comments are the rules, procedures, links to the collaborative drive, and links to all the ways that you can get in touch with me. I have a Facebook page in addition to this group. I have a YouTube channel where all of these videos end up afterwards. I have markersandminions.com. That's kind of like my main hub. And Instagram, and I'm trying to get better at Pinterest too. So I'm on all of those things. Hi everyone. So that's all linked within that document. All right. Welcome. Swimming and fishing every day. That sounds so fun with 2 toddlers. Awesome. It's really hot here today, so my husband's out at the pool with my toddler. 3-week cruise around London, Scotland, and Ireland. Have fun, Terry. All right, so I'm going to start with my little speech. So a year ago when I started this group, one of my first posts was this little speech that I typed up. This was told to me, this advice was given to me my first year teaching by actually someone who's a part of our group, my friend Lisa, and I went to her room after school one day stressed out about our math program. We were doing Envisions, I think it was, a long time ago, 5 years ago. So it was before we had adopted a new Common Core aligned program. And I was so stressed, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this lesson this day, this lesson this day, this lesson this day. And she was like, wait. Your job, remember, is to teach the standards, not the curriculum. So that blew my mind, and that's what I try to remind myself all the time. So I'm going to read you my little speech. I teach the standards. The curriculum is a resource. Those of you getting started, take a step back and reacquaint yourself with your state standards with a new lens. I spent a lot of time this year and last year just internalizing the reading standards, reading informational and literature reading standards, all 10 for each one, and just memorizing what the kids are supposed to know. Then from there, that was my starting point, my grounding point. Pick and choose lessons from Benchmark that you think will help you teach those standards well. Don't try to teach every single lesson. It probably won't translate into effective teaching in the long run if you're trying to cover everything. And I think that goes for every curriculum. You can use this program with fidelity without doing every lesson. Besides, the skills repeat themselves over and over again. This is what we call a spiral curriculum. If you didn't teach figurative language in week 1, comes up again in week 3, and then again in another unit. So you're going to see things repeated. There may be a couple of things that you might not see repeated as often, so you'll definitely want to do some sort of scope and sequence, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a few weeks, how to analyze the program from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, so you can see exactly like a poetry, like those sorts of things that don't come up as often. So you want to make sure that you hit those when it does come up. But then you'll also see that things are so cyclical. So if you don't get it in 1 week or in 2 weeks or in a unit, don't stress. Give yourself a moment to reflect on your teaching philosophies and think about how Benchmark can complement your style. And allow yourself grace. It's new and you'll make mistakes. You're doing a great job already just by seeking out support. And that's what this group is all about, is supporting one another and having an open mind and just not complaining about it, because it's going to be hard. But complaining is what the staff lounge is for. On here, it's really like a positive, professional PLC where we really just, people have awesome ideas and it makes it so much more fun. And it kind of makes you feel like you're not alone in this. Okay, let's see. Thank you. This is my first time putting on makeup in a week, so I feel a little bit back to normal. I hope you're feeling well. My principal is always telling us we teach the standards, not a curriculum. Good. Yeah, that was very eye-opening for me. Hi, Barb. Thank you. Hi, Anita. All right, anyway, that's my biggest piece of advice. This is posted on my blog. It went off. I have a series of blog posts that are set to like scheduled posts over the next month or so I don't have to think about it. I already pre-wrote them. So here it is. If you like that, my little speech, I'll post it in the comments. It's found, my blog is embedded on my markersandminions.com website. So that's where you can see everything that I'm going to be releasing in the next few weeks is on there. Okay. The next thing I want to briefly touch on is the daily schedules. There's there are a lot of posts about daily schedules and how am I going to fit this all in, and there's so many components and it can be overwhelming. So I think what I've seen just in the group here is that Benchmark, I think, wants you to allot 120 minutes, I could be wrong, a day to ELA. I didn't have that kind of time. So my block was from 10:40 to 12 o'clock, so it was 80 minutes, right? Yeah, my block was 80 minutes. And I broke up my whole group and my small group instruction into two separate categories. The way Benchmark kind of suggests that you do it is teach a mini lesson and then break up into a small group and practice. Teach a mini lesson, small group, and going back and forth. And for me, that didn't work. So with the transitions and the losing time like that, so I sort of modeled my small groups off of Daily 5. And my small group time was the second half. So I started the day with back-to-back mini lessons from 10:40 to 11:30. Right? Yeah, summer brain already. 10:40 to 11:30, I packed in my 3 mini lessons. And then from 11:30 to 12, we did our small groups. Now, every grade level, K through 6, has 3 main lessons a day. You've got your reading, your writing, and then if you're in K1, it's called phonics. If you're in 2 through 6, it's called word study. Same thing, it's foundational reading, phonics, and decoding and whatnot. So that's a good starting point, is there's those 3 main lessons. Now, if you're teaching K or 1, you have a few more lessons. From what I understand, you have a few more lessons than the upper elementary teachers, just because you're spending a little bit more time on foundational reading. So you still have reading, writing, and phonics, but there's going to be a little bit more that you're going to touch upon within each category, whereas in third, actually it starts in third through 6, you're going to have like a main reading lesson, main writing lesson for that day. Okay, now for scheduling tips, if you need to look at someone else's schedule to get some inspiration, you can always search in this group. So there's a search bar. If you're on your desktop, I'm a visual learner, let me open it up. So here's our group page. On the left-hand side, you'll see a bar with lots of options. At the bottom, you'll see search this group, and you just type in schedule, and then every post that's ever mentioned the word schedule will appear. And so that's a way to filter through everything that's been posted the last year. And you'll see a lot of sample daily schedules. There have been a few that we've been able to put onto our collaborative Google Drive folder. If you're willing to share your schedule, I created a July challenge, so you can post your schedule in the comments, and then if you're willing to share it, like with others in the long run, I can even let me know and I can copy paste it into our Google Drive so it can be accessible even after that post goes away. So that's your challenge, is like to think about your daily schedule and where your block might work, whether it be 80 minutes, whether it be 120 minutes, whether you're doing whole and then small, or flip-flopping, ping-ponging back and forth. Let us know, and let us know your grade level. It's always helpful to see combo schedules too, because there seems to be a lot of combo classes lately, last year and this year. When I taught my 2-3 combo, I can give some advice there, but I wasn't doing my best teaching because it was a new curriculum, and I didn't use all the components the first year. So let's see. If you haven't seen the Mr. Rogers documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, go see it. Super reminder of what is really important in dealing with children. It's not what we spend most of our time stressing over. You're right, Laura. Let's see. How many small groups do you get through in your 30 minutes? This last year, I did 1 small group a day. So I spent a whole 30 minutes with that group. I had 4 leveled groups. Monday and Friday, I met with my intensive group. So I saw them twice a week. Everyone else, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I saw once a week. So that was like my kind of a medium to low group Tuesday, and then medium, and then high group. But I know some people like to do 15 and 15, so they see 2 groups a day. Anita says it's called phonics for 2nd grade as well. So not word study. It's not? Okay. But in 2nd grade, I think you do have, and I don't have my 2nd grade stuff by me, but you do have the word study text, I think. Oh man, summer brain, guys. I will fix this and get back to you. But phonics is the same thing as word study. It just kind of, the verbiage changes. It's more intensive in primary. I can't seem to access the link you posted above. So the link I posted is, I'm assuming the Google link I posted. Sometimes you can't access it if you're trying to open it through your district login, because some districts block Google Drive. So try to either log out of your district's sign-on and go on from a personal computer, and log into your personal Gmail. That might make it work. Laura, I'm excited about the challenge. I'm going to work on it this week. All right. How do I access the Google Drive folder? It's within that link I posted. So I have one link that has all of the information for the group. It used to be like just a post, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing with information. So I made a Google Doc. That's our main starting point, and that's what I posted in these comments. Now, if you're reading through that, a couple pages down, you'll see a link to our shared drive folder. And in that folder, you'll see schedules, and it's broken down by grade level, broken down by unit. Anytime someone has a resource to share, we'll put it in there. It used to be that we just uploaded to the group files, but it was kind of all over the place and not organized by grade level. So we just started this Google folder about a month ago, so it's still being worked on and growing. If you have anything that helps you, you want to share it, let us know, and you can I can upload it. Terry says, first grade has phonological awareness, blending, and spelling daily. There is a second phonics focus 2 times a week and handwriting 2 other days a week. That's a ton. You can probably put some of that into your small groups eventually, right? Let's see. How many kids in your small group? Mine were, they ranged just by their level. So my really intensive group only had 4 to 5, and then they also changed whenever I updated it every few months. But sometimes a nice little tip here is if you have more kids in your small group than you do leveled readers, you can access all grade levels online. So you could access it that way and have them just look on a Chromebook, or in my case, I would just go and knock on a teacher's door and say, hey, can I borrow this, this leveled reader down from first grade or up from 4th grade or whatever. Let's see. Or the other 3rd grade teachers if I didn't have enough. I'm moving from 4th to TK next year. Is there a lot of benchmark material out there for TK? Not that I've seen. TK and 6th grade are the most underrepresented grades in this group, but we do have a lot of TK teachers in here. I think that you're using Ready to Advance. Our district didn't purchase it, so I don't have access to it. Otherwise, I'd be analyzing it and trying to find similarities. I can't really say that it's like Kinder, but if it is like Kinder, you'll get a lot of support in this group. I love your schedule. I feel like I can model my time and it will be doable. Yeah. It's the markers and minions link. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see. If you're on your district's laptop, like if they gave you a laptop, my website is blocked sometimes because it's considered a blog. So yeah, that was the right link that I posted. It might be blocked. Has anyone found the need to teach the units out of order? So that's something that I'm going to talk about next, actually. Let's get back. Brain, get back. Okay, focus. Planning. Start with the unit as a whole with your essential question, and then get smaller. Then look at the weeks, and then look at the days. It's helpful to just start with the unit and your essential question because it's that theme, and it helps you kind of focus on where you want your students to end up after every lesson. So if you start with your weeks and then go bigger, you're going to get lost. So if you start with your big overarching theme and the goal for their learning and then hone in on that, then that's very helpful. There are 10 units altogether. I've been told that 1 through 7, units 1 through 7, covers all the standards. So units 8, 9, and 10 are standards you've already hit a zillion times, and it's more learning for transfer at that point. So in units 8, 9, and 10, they're very independent units. The lesson, if you follow the lessons in the TRS, the style of teaching changes. It's because it's more student-driven, and they already have that skill set, and they're transferring it now. So that, people always talk about going out of order. I think it depends on how religiously you follow the lessons in the TRS. So if you're looking at a lesson and you're following it, not exactly reading the script, but like going with what they suggest with the collaborative conversation, then you will see that each unit builds and gets a little bit more complex. So in the beginning of the year, the first few units are very modeled and guided, and it's meant to just expose the students. So it's based on like John Hattie's research of surface and to transfer. So you're going to start with very guided lessons, and then it becomes a little bit less so in the middle of the year, and then there's that release towards the end. So if you follow the TRS, the lessons exactly, it might be challenging to flip some of those units around. If you're a little bit more organic in your teaching and you look at a skill and you're like, oh, I know how to teach that, then it's probably fine. I'm not sure. I've never swapped units. So for planning, I do have templates available, 2 versions. One that is for K1, since the program looks different in K1, and the other one's for 2 to 6 because it's consistent there. You can use that to plan your unit first, and then it's broken down by week. I will spend more time on this in a few weeks, closer to the beginning of the school year, for my new friends here who don't know how to use those planning templates yet or read or analyze the TRS yet. I'll break that down for you. The template is found here. Let me link it. Both versions are in this download. There we go. So that's planning. Let's see. Emily. Hi, Nina. Thank you. Unit 10. Okay, Kim says Unit 10 for kinder goes into long vowels, A-E-I-O with the silent E. Yeah, at the kinder and first grade phonics progression is something that I see mentioned a lot, and I have no idea. I can't really speak on that, but I think it's challenging, and I understand it moves quickly, or differently at least. I've never taught primary, so I'm not sure how that works. Okay. Next, and my final thing that I'm touching on, is whole versus small group instruction. So this program is big on both. In your whole group lessons, you're going to be using very rigorous text. It's going to be hard. It's going to be packed with vocabulary that your kids have never seen before. It's going to be packed with concepts that they have never wrapped their brain around before. And that's why they have you. That's why it's in their guided whole group lesson. Those lessons are meant to be mini, so it's not to mastery, which is a challenge in the beginning. I've said this a ton over the last year. It took me a whole entire year to master my mini lesson because I was used to like a 45-minute lesson with my third graders where I had the hook and the intro, and I did a little model, and then the guided, and then the gradual release, and then the independent, the way we learned, and then the formative assessment. So that's not the case anymore. It's very mini. My lessons are now between 15 and 20 minutes, and it's just exposure, 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 repeated exposure, and by the end of the year, they've absorbed it because they've heard you and seen you so many times with the same skills repeating. So if you notice that your lessons are becoming super long, just remind yourself that the kids are going to see this like exact lesson next week again, 2 weeks again. So shorten it. Now in your small group lessons, that's where you're going to have your differentiated text. So it's going to be a text that's at their level now. It's not going to be that really difficult, rigorous text. It's going to be more at their level. It's going to be more accessible, and it's going to follow the same theme, topic, fall under the same umbrella. So it's related. It's building on the knowledge. During the small group time, you're pulling a group and you're doing guided reading with those leveled readers, with your kids leveled in a homogeneous group. Everyone else is at a center, and they're practicing skills that you've taught that week or that you've taught the past, skills that spiral. Everything that the kids do in those centers is provided by Benchmark. There's spelling and grammar practice. There's, the writing that they're supposed to do. If you have a tech center, there's a really strong online component, student component, to listen to the readers, to type onto them and whatnot. What else? There's text-dependent questions in the upper grades that they can annotate and answer in a center independently. So all of that practice is available. So before you start your small groups, which I don't recommend starting right away. I mean, if it were up to me, it's up to your admin ultimately, but I don't start until Unit 2. So spend time, once you get your login and your materials, looking at all of the components, and know that when you're looking at it, it's not meant to be all done in your whole group time. A lot of it's going to be independent practice. Let's see. Your guided reading, I have one more thing here. Your guided reading that you're doing with your homogeneous leveled groups, you're using those leveled readers, and those come with teacher lesson plans. So it's a cardstock insert. It's a one-page cardstock insert, and it's also found online. If you open up that leveled reader, online you'll see a green apple, or like a little white apple with a green border, and it says teacher something tools, I don't know. Pull that up, and the lesson plan's on there too. You can follow that. You can also, what I did was I never followed those lessons. I just reinforced what I was teaching a whole group. So I was teaching the whole group mini lesson. I was teaching a skill, say, inferencing, with that really complex text on magazines. And then when we got into our small group with that leveled reader, I tried to match that skill as best I could. Sometimes the book's like not made for inferencing, but as a teacher, you'll be able to find things like that you can make connections to. So that's what I did in my guided reading. All right, guys, those are the 5 points that I wanted to talk, 4 points that I wanted to talk about. Okay, Carla says, are kindergartners ready for long vowels? First graders have a hard time with that. That's something that you'll notice across all grade levels, and not just with phonics instruction. The skills that are introduced early, I guess. Some people think early, developmentally early, and just keep in mind that they're not meant to master. So I've never taught kinder, but it sounds like maybe long vowels is going to be very difficult for kinders to master, but it's all about exposure, right? They're going to be exposed to it early on in kinder. It's going to be built upon in first and second, and actually in third grade, at the beginning of the year, Unit 1, I think it's long vowels. I think it's long A, actually. So it's spiraled throughout the year, the grades as well. So that's why it's really important to all be on board at your school site. Is the latest post on your blog from November 2017? No. So now I'm wondering if this didn't post. It posted June 28th at 10 a.m. Today's July 1st. Yeah. Okay, I will investigate. The blog post is basically a little blurb about the next series that I'm doing called A Quick Guide to Benchmark Advance. And it has this speech. And then here are the topics for all of my next mini blog post series. So these are things that I just pulled from you guys, from our group. Like, people are asking, what should I buy? And I don't have access to materials yet. What's included? A little bit more about whole versus small group and planning, and then just teacher tips from teachers that have been in the group for a year now. Karen says, writing last year was a challenge and I found myself reverting back to what I've always done. Any help here? Okay, so first of all, I totally think that what you've always done if you like it, you shouldn't throw it out. Find ways to marry it, or make it work together. Our district uses Step Up to Writing, the color coding system, and I didn't want to throw that out with benchmark writing. So the first year when I taught the 2-3 combo, I just did Step Up because the writing with benchmark was confusing to me. Felt all over the place. And also our district's assessments, we were still doing trimester assessments, right? Yeah, where it was like first trimester we assess narrative writing, and then the next trimester opinion, whatever. So it was assessing a genre, and so we spent a few weeks drilling, or a few months just drilling one type of writing. So benchmark was super confusing to me. I wrote a blog post after I forced myself to understand the philosophy, the rationale behind writing with benchmark, and I will link it here. And of course, where did I start? With the standards. I analyzed those writing standards starting in kinder, and I went all the way to 6th grade. And then I looked at benchmark starting in kinder all the way to 6th grade, and I said, oh, now I get it. Now, for writing, here it is, guys. There. For writing, I made it a point to get better about benchmark writing, but the most important lesson to me was that first day where they're analyzing the prompt, because I needed them to be able to see a prompt and know what type of writing that was being asked, what the main topic was, so they were on topic, and then what sources they were supposed to use, because writing to sources is a common writing skill in the standards K through 6. So those, to me, that was priority. So if I didn't get to all those writing lessons, I didn't feel bad as long as I got that first lesson done. And I still did my genre writing, especially for some of the units. They really lend themselves to like a unit-long genre writing. Like Unit 4 is all about multiple perspectives and point of view. So that's where I brought in, my writing unit that I've been doing since the beginning of time, which is, I think I made it, and I did it in my student teaching, 3 Little Pigs versus the Wolf. So analyzing different perspectives and writing an opinion piece or an argumentative piece on that. So you can kind of do both. But my writing, sorry, this is like a really long answer. My writing was, my genre writing was separate from my benchmark block because I could fit that into my 80 minutes a day. Do you test weekly with the weekly assessments? And do you use those for grades? Yeah. So you'll see, and I'm going to do a post about this because a blog post because it comes up over and over and over again. In the beginning of the year, I do the tests for them, with them. I read the passages, I read the questions, I think aloud, metacognition, and then I read through the answers, and then I model where to find the answers back in the text, because in the beginning your kids won't go back to the text because they're not used to that. And then I go back and then I show them, like, there's always going to be two answers that are totally wrong. There's going to be an answer that's a pothole trying to catch you. And then there's going to be the best answer. So I use it as a teaching tool for all of Unit 1. I don't have much data at all beyond like their SRI. We do SRI testing also. Eventually from there, I will read the passage, the questions, the answers, but I won't answer it for them. And we're all in the same one. So I read number 1 with the answer choices, say, okay, take a minute, find your answer, and then we move on. So it takes a long time. Eventually, just read the passage, and they read everything else and they answer it. And then, I think it was by Unit 3, honestly, for this year, being in year 2, I just handed it to them. And they took it totally on their own. And eventually by the end of the year, because of that gradual release, and because I'm really big on the standards and having the kids internalize them also, they were able to, we focused on analyzing the test. So not just taking it and finding the best answer, but reading a question and saying, oh, this wants me to make an inference because of this word. Or, oh, I'm supposed to use context clues for this type of question. So they connected the standard or the skill to the type of question on the assessment, and I think that really helped. I piloted benchmark and only got to Unit 4. The second year, I only got to Unit 5. Now I know mini lessons. I think I was making my lessons too long. Yeah. Our first year, one of my grade level partners was following benchmark lessons, and at each benchmark lesson, most of them are 2 pages. So she would do all of it. She would do the first page and the second page, the collaborative conversation, everything. And she made it to, I think, Unit 5. And so if you're really following the TRS, your lessons might get a little long. Our entire school is flip-flopping the first and second units. Is it going to be different to plan with you for those 2 units? Do you have a video from last year that I can refer to for help in planning those units? Yeah. So I started the group after I was already in the middle of Unit 1. So my first episode 1 of Plan With Me, I'm planning Unit 1, but not the whole unit. I think just a couple weeks. But I do have a ton of pictures of Unit 1 in my classroom, in the photo albums in the group. And then also Unit 2, I full on planned on video. And I have, anchor chart pictures. I have a video of me showing how to make anchor charts for Unit 2. A lot of people flip-flop Unit 1 and Unit 2 because Unit 2 is fiction. It's like fables and folktales. Fun stuff. Unit 1 is all about government. Now, Unit 1 is the first unit because it's at the same time that you are establishing your classroom government. So there are a lot of parallels there. Now, I would say the parallels become less evident once you get to like 5th grade. But K1, 2, 3, and even grade 4, you can totally use it to help build your own classroom community. So it's kind of nice in the beginning of the year, but it's going to be challenging. There's going to be concepts in there that are going to go over your kids' heads. That's why I don't start small groups in Unit 1. I just keep them with me the whole time. When you model how to take the test and go over it with them, do you take days to do it? They are so long. I want to do that too, but not lose them by doing too much in a sitting. Well, only the weekly. I didn't analyze and go through those unit tests with them. That would take too long. The unit tests, and you've been part of the group for a while, so you probably know, I would break up and give them like 7 or 8 questions a day, because otherwise it's so long for one sitting. But the weekly tests are like 10 questions. Excuse me. All right, guys. So I'm going to sign off, and I want to know before I do, what's one valuable thing or one takeaway from today's video? Let me know in my comments after I log off. Let me know just something that resonated with you, something that might resonate with another person who doesn't necessarily watch the whole video, but that reads through the comments. Dang it, this is 40 minutes. I was trying to keep this so short. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday, a wonderful week, and I will follow up with you all as the night goes on and this week with any questions that you might have or anything that I may have missed. I'll go through the comments afterwards. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you next week.